Ba weeb grana weeb ninny bang YouTube, RedWhiteandBluestreak here, and today we've got a double review with Magic Square MSB44 Ken and MSB45 Ryu. Ken and Ryu here are famous characters from the hit game series Street Fighter, an arcade fighter that features the highly anticipated first legend scale representations from Magic Square of the Transformers characters Ironhide and Ratchet. Wait, no, that's not right. Who wrote this? So for those who don't know the Mystery Machine mecha men that these figures are based off of, Ironhide and Ratchet are two of the more notable Autobots from the franchise Transformers, with these figures being based on their appearance in the first two seasons of the 80s cartoon. Still waiting on that season 3 remold. Ironhide is more or less the abrasive muscle, the brawn, if you will, of the Autobot team, and is extremely loyal to the cause and to its leader, Optimus Prime, who, if you remember from my Orion Pax and Alpha Trion review, was Orion's old friend Dion, so the loyalty makes a lot of sense. Beyond that, he's just everyone's favorite southern vanbot that also happens to be voiced by Peter Cullen in Generation 1. Ratchet is largely the opposite. Where Ironhide is abrasive, Ratchet is caring. Where Ironhide would solve problems with destruction and muscle, Ratchet would solve them with repairs and intelligence. In almost every iteration of Transformers, Ratchet is the main Autobot medic, until his untimely and brutal demise in G1's case. He doesn't have any long-standing history with Optimus in Generation 1, unlike Ironhide, but he's a bit of a funny and sometimes grumpy field medic with an interesting bedside manner, so that's more than good enough. Also, he has a cool head crest, so bonus points there. I'm a sucker when it comes to pointy head crests. Starting with the robot mode, these little chonkers definitely look the part. Starting with Ratchet here, I feel Magic Square nailed the color for the plastic here. Not going for an off-white, but rather a pure eggshell kind of white for the Medbot. And unlike Hashtag stuff, this figure won't yellow in the sunlight. As far as I've seen anyways. I don't know, I've had this figure for almost a year and so far there hasn't been anything, so I think it's safe to say that we're safe from that. Sweet Primus, I've got a lot of figures to review. Besides that, the little bits of extra paint here for Ratchet are always a nice touch. It's largely the same for Kenyanide here, though instead of paint decos, he has color differentiation on the back, thighs, and arms. Though I won't lie, I kind of wish the reds were a little redder, and the same can be said about the darker shades of gray. New Age definitely seems to have a bit of a handle on that. When it comes to both figures, they both scale really well with the third-party Legends collection and feel pretty much the same, that being the typical Magic Square plastic feel, for better or worse. And the faces, well, they're faces alright. Along with the faces, they both come with a set of relaxed hands out of the box, and a set of pointing hands, a set of, we did this gag last video. Ah, what the heck. Hadouken! 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 And a set of open supporting hands. They also both come with one gun casted in different colors depending on the mold, so no dual wielding for these boys today. They also both have a jetpack attachment and a back-mounted turret, which, if I remember correctly, are references to the G1 cartoon. Besides that, Ryu comes with a wrench because he doesn't solve people problems. He also has a couple of unique attachments for his hands for repairing different bots. For Ken, we have an antenna attachment, a set of water hose cannons, and a set of vacuum style pieces for the hands. Gonna be completely honest here, I don't entirely know what those pieces are meant to reference. I love the amount of accessories these guys have, even though I'll probably never use most of these. But I wish they had that little sled thing that New Age and the MP versions come with. Considering all they've done to pay homage to the original cartoon and the G1 toy, that would have been a really nice cherry on top, and would have been a nice place to store and display all of these accessories instead of just keeping them in one of these bags. Ah well. To the lunchbox with you! No! And blah 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 accessories something 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 articulation. Segues are hard. So the head can move all the way around. Okay, maybe not all the way around. It can move up really far. And down not at all, actually. The arms can move out that far, but if you use the transformation joint, they can go up all the way. They can move all the way around. There's a swivel at the bicep. A nice bend at the elbow, getting you a little above 90 degrees. Swivel at the wrist. An unrestricted waist rotation. And a beautiful ab crunch. Can do the splits. It can kick forward all the way, but not back at all. A slight rotation at the thigh. Side note, the thigh joint is a little loose on my copy of Ryu. There's a nice double jointed bend at the knee, and a beautiful pivot. As usual with Magic Square, articulation at the legend scale goes above and beyond here, allowing you to get these guys in a wide range of poses that are either of your own unholy mental machinations or something referencing the source material. Wait, that isn't Doomsday? Oh! So these little chonkers look great, feel, well, as good as Magic Square Legends figures might typically feel, come with a metric frag ton of accessories, and have some fantastic articulation. But how'd they do on the alt mode? Pretty well, actually. But the conversion's a bit of a doozy. My fingers. My hands. Through an extremely involved but pretty clever transformation that borrows a bit from the MP figure, we get this. A pair of small and pretty cartoon accurate minivans. I say pretty cartoon accurate because G1 was very inconsistent with how their models scaled and looked overall in both robot and vehicle mode. But these are very well made in any case. The Magic Square plastic is always going to be, and to be honest is kind of growing into more of, a concern with these figures. These figures constantly try to pull off MP level transformations at a legend scale, and while that works some of the time, there are times where it just doesn't, with these figures hitting some sort of in-between. And MSO2 has proven to me that these transformations will always be better at an MP scale, especially if they use that same kind of plastic as MSO2. Makes me wish they'd just upscale more of these designs and give them the same treatment. They'd make a killing that way if that's what it takes for them to use this kind of plastic more consistently. But I digress. Everything tabs together and hides away fantastically to form a very solid feeling alt mode, while leaving my hands smelling like chemicals like MSO2. Seriously, like I've said, I've had these guys for almost a year and they still smell like some kind of factory. It could smell worse, I guess. But really, outside of the bottom of the vehicle mode, everything is hidden away very well, or at least as well as one would hope after having to go through hell to get somewhere. Even the more panely bits aren't too noticeable upon wow, I can't speak. Even the more panely bits aren't too noticeable upon first glance or from most angles. One thing I really like is how the arms form the side windows here. The way they convert results in a pair of insanely clean looking forearms in robot mode, which is definitely something Magic Square has over New Age. The vehicles actually roll really well on sets of rubber wheels, look great next to other figures, for the most part anyways, and also feature actual weapon storage. Now, you can't store all of the accessories away this way, and it certainly doesn't look great in robot mode, but crotch rocket gun storage is better than I can say for a vast majority of the figures in my collection, not just the third-party ones. Long story short, these alt modes are really nice. Though I think overall I prefer the New Age alt mode. I'll probably go over this more in detail in a full-on review sometime if I actually manage to get my hands on the figures, but even though I do think the alt modes look great and cartoon accurate here, I feel that the New Age ones are even more cartoon accurate. For some reason, Ironhide and Ratchet always felt like they had a stubbier vehicle mode to me. But we're not talking about those figures right now. We're talking about Ken and Ryu here, and overall, these figures are pretty great. Looking past the typical Magic Square plastic quality and the rather lackluster face sculpts, there's some amazing engineering on display here, resulting in an amazingly clean and posable robot mode, and a fantastic vehicle mode for both figures, along with a bunch of nice, yet forgettable accessories. 3.9 is actually going to be my final rating for these figures. The face sculpts, plastic quality, and my feelings on the alt mode compared to New Ages are what are mainly holding this thing back from being perfect. Heck, even if they came out with an improved figure that just simply recasted this in a nicer, easier to work with plastic, similar to the New Ages figures, that bumped this up to a 4.5 out of 5 for me. But regardless, I still think these figures are amazing and you should totally get them for your own Legends collection if you get the chance. But definitely try to get them from an overseas seller because sweet Primus!